We turn our attention to politics today, and as President Biden prepares to address the United Nations General Assembly this week, there's new polling shows just how divided the country is over his leadership. Let's bring in former Florida Senate President Mike Haridopolos to dig into this issue and much more. Mike, good morning. Hope you had a good weekend.
We did, Ryan. Good morning to you.
So let's talk about a number of issues that the president is facing right now. We're talking about the border crisis, legislative issues. So let's talk about those right now and what he's facing.
Well, he faces challenges on just about every front. As you know, right now, he is in the middle of a big legislative fight dealing with the $3.5 trillion economic boost that he wants to give the country according to his plan. But most people, including his own party members, are starting to balk at that number. There's increased fears that this could cause increased inflation, which we're already feeling in so many ways, from rent to gasoline to food prices, et cetera. And of course, he had a very difficult spot this weekend on the foreign side, meaning that France is very upset with their longtime NATO ally, the United States, because of the deal that we cut with the Australians for submarines. So it's a challenging time for the president. Of course, the biggest frustration we're all feeling right now is the COVID crisis. We all thought it would be over right now. I guess the only good news from this is that the numbers have waned a bit, especially here in Florida the last few days. But it's still an ongoing issue that's causing division within the country.
It's a great point, Mike. You know, we see when poll numbers drop, we saw with President Trump, that agendas get affected, and certainly that could happen. The Democrats are concerned about the midterms, but they're still a ways off. When you look at the impact right now on the legislative issues, how big an issue is that, especially when you've got states like Virginia and New Jersey having big governor races coming up?
Exactly. Right now, President Biden's polling in the low 40s, and that number is not too bad, especially considering the contrast with President Trump. But the difference here is that the Biden numbers, as far as strongly approve, are down to 25%, meaning the approval numbers are around 42, 43, and the disapproval is around 48, 49. But the challenge the president's facing is that only 25% of the public strongly supports his presidency. That's down from a high of about 45%. And so that impacts other races. Just like when President Bush was unpopular back in 2006 and the Republicans lost control of the House and Senate, you're seeing the same result here, where traditionally strong now states like New Jersey, or even a state that's moving towards the Democrats, Virginia, both of those governor's races are incredibly tight when most people expected the Democrats to roll in both. And so what they call political coattails are very short for President Biden. The only success he's enjoyed is in the very now liberal state of California, where Gavin Newsom was able to survive that recall vote.
Yeah, can you read anything into that? That was my next question, Mike. There were some Republicans thought they might have a chance there. Gavin Newsom came out the day of the election, said, look, this is not going to happen. And it turns out he was right. It was pretty much an overwhelming majority.
Oh, yes, it was. And look, the best card the Democrats have at this point, especially in a state like New Jersey and Virginia, and we just saw in California, is they run against President Trump. That's their big play, much like they ran against Bush back in 2006, 2008, et cetera. They want to run against President Trump in these more liberal states because that is still the galvanizing force for the Democrats. There's still a strong anti-Trump feeling. Of course, you see the opposite on the other side. So they want to play the demographics that benefit them. And I think that's going to be their playbook in 2022 as they try to hold on to the House and Senate and continue this more progressive push that they've been making, especially highlighted by that $3.5 trillion bill. But remember, they still haven't passed the infrastructure bill, and a lot of House Democrats are insisting that be done before the end of the month. A lot of challenges ahead for the president.
Yep, we'll see what happens. We're going to talk state issues at 8 o'clock. By the way, love the backdrop today, Mike. Looks great.
We're in Tallahassee today. It's committee week, so new look for us today.
I like it. Changing it up. Good stuff, Mike. We'll see you at 8 o'clock. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Ryan. Have a great day.
All right, 7:41 this morning. Still ahead.